So here's a simple example of how you can use differentiation to work out the gradient on a curvy graph at a particular point. So here's our equation, y equals 5x squared minus 2x plus 1,000. That's the equation of our graph, and we're going to find out the gradient on this curvy graph, because it's a quadratic graph, at this point 1039, because the gradient on this graph is constantly changing, so we need to pick one point at which we're going to find the gradient. And the way you do that is use differentiation. So here's the equation of the graph. We're going to differentiate it by taking each bit of this and differentiating it separately and then putting it together. And that will give us the formula that gives us the gradient at any point on this graph. So let's do that. First of all, if you've got something with a power inside your equation of your graph, well, what you do is you take the power forwards, so you do 2 times 5x, and then you take away 1 from the power. This can be x to the power 1, so let's show you that. So you do bring the 2 forwards, you get 2 times 5, like you can see here, and you take away 1 from the power, so you get that, and if you simplify that, it becomes this, 10x. 2 times 5 is 10, and your x to the power 2 minus 1, which is just 1. X to the power 1 is just x, isn't it? So that simplifies to that. Let's go to the next bit. So if you've got something with just basically a certain number of x's, so you've got minus 2 x's there, then to differentiate it is very simple. You simply get rid of the x and you're left with the coefficient of that x. So in this case it's minus 2, so you've got minus 2. And even easier to differentiate are plain numbers. If you've got any odd number, doesn't matter what it is, if you differentiate it, it just becomes 0. Now obviously you don't need to write 0, do you? You don't need to add zeros, you just leave it alone, and you're just left with this stuff, which is 10x minus 2. So, differentiating this equation, y equals 5x squared minus 2x plus 1,000, gives you this formula, dy by dx, which just means the gradient on that graph. Just means the gradient, really. The formula for the gradient. And the formula for the gradient is 10x minus 2. So, if you've got the x value of any coordinate on the graph, you just put that in there into this formula and it will tell you the gradient at that point. So here's our point, our coordinate 3, 1039, and the x value in this coordinate is 3. So I'm going to put 3 into there, which is 10 times 3 take away 2. 10 times 3 take away 2 is 30, take away 2, which is 28. So the gradient at this point on this graph is 28.